on House Bill 1425. Chair recognizes, the clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 441.
Senate Bill 441 by Senator Hatch of the 50th, Gooch of the 51st, and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia and data relating to courts in general, so as to provide for the reestablishment of the Criminal Case Data Exchange Board as an advisory board to the Council of Superior Court Clerks of Georgia.
Chair recognizes Chairman Gunter to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 441 revives the Criminal Case Data Exchange Board. We have a real problem with our GCIC documents in criminal court. When I served as a district attorney, one of the first things that I faced coming into office was filing cabinets full of warrants that had no disposition on them. These warrants could show up if you got stopped for a speeding or something like that. It doesn't seem, at least when I was doing this, that there was any one entity that made the entry of the disposition of the cases. Sometimes it was the district attorney's office doing it. Sometimes it was the clerk's office doing it. And the clerk's office would run into problems where you're arrested on one charge but indicted or accused on a different charge, all in the same case. It's a confusing, complicated system, and this is an effort to try and fix that. Now, there's two additions to this bill, sections 10 and 11. 10 is the original jurisdiction for the GBI to investigate election fraud, and section 11 is the subpoena portion of that. That was tacked onto this bill. I urge you to vote for this bill to clean up the criminal data in this state, and I'll stand for any questions if you have any.
You do not have any questions. I'm sorry. You do not have any questions. We have one member that wishes to be heard in speaking against the bill. Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise to ask you to vote no on this bill because just like when I spoke on SB 89, this bill also includes language that our boards of elections have said we do not need, but also we do not need to give the GBI this jurisdiction over the elections. We just don't need to do it, or investigating elections. And so I already gave my speech on SB 89, so I will not repeat the entire thing, but here's what I will say. This bill, they added that language because for some reason they really, really want it. And something that one of my colleagues said earlier in their speech, I think it's important. And a lot of people were talking and mingling, and they weren't really listening. But the point that he made was a good point. Giving the GBI this power and authority gives the governor the power and authority to basically stop the counting of ballots if they feel like they might not be getting the outcome that they want based on exit polls. And like he said, you might trust the current governor, but do you trust every single governor after that? You don't even know who that's going to be. And so it's really important that we're very careful about the duties that we give to certain entities. And it's very important that we're very careful not to intermingle or blur the separation of powers in our state. Because if elections are going to matter, and if we want people to actually have faith and confidence in our elections, we would not give the governor the authority to basically tell the GBI to investigate an election that they might be losing. So just think about that when you're about to cast your ballot, because I do think that's a very important consideration, and I thank my colleague for bringing that up. And I don't really have anything else to say about the other sections of this bill. I wish that language had not been added. But with the addition of that language, we are setting a very dangerous precedent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? The chair hears none. The Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of Senate Bill 441, the ayes are 98, the nays are 69. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. All right, we've got, I know we've got a lot to get done in a short time to get there, but we also have some people that are here that we could not do our jobs if it weren't for them. We're going to start with an all-star group, and that's the Office of Legislative Counsel. Let's give them a big hand. Clerk will read the chair recognizes Chairman England for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House recede from its position on House Bill 911 and adopt the Committee of Conference report.
Chairman England has moved that the House adopt the Committee of Conference report on House Bill 911 and adopt the Committee of Conference report. The clerk will read the Conference Committee report.
The Committee of Conference on House Bill 911 recommends that both the House of Representatives and the Senate recede from their positions and that the attached Committee of Conference substitute to HB 911 be adopted. Respectfully submitted for the House of Representatives: England of the 116th, Jones the 47th, Burns the 159th. For the Senate, Tillery the 19th, Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th.
The chair recognizes Chairman England to explain the Committee of Conference report for House Bill 911.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have one little last bit of business to do before we do a few more last bits of business. I do want to thank our House Budget and Research Office staff. Y'all see them every day here at the Capitol, and we work with them year-round, and I want to just tell them again how much we appreciate them and the work that they do. Also want to again thank my administrative assistant, Miss Ashley Newton, downstairs, that keeps us fed during the many hours that we're involved in the conference committee report, making sure that we stay nourished. And also our friends in the Senate, Chairman Tillery, the Senate Budget and Evaluation Office as well. The governor and OPB built a firm foundation for us to build upon as we worked on this budget that is before you this evening. This $30.2 billion budget represents about a 10.8% increase over last year. Just a real quick overview of what you're going to see in front of you. One, trust funds. As you remember, one of the things that the late Chairman Powell had felt very passionately about was making sure that trust funds were being spent on the things that they were being collected for. So House Bill 511, this is the first budget that you will see before you that actually incorporates all of those pieces as they were meant to be. Number two, education. As we have talked about already, the governor's mentioned and others have mentioned, this is the largest investment the state of Georgia has ever made into K-12 education at $11.8 billion. It's the fulfillment of the raised promise that he made early on of $5,000 to our teachers. And so that is all included in this budget as well. In higher education, an additional $230 million into the teaching formula to erase and replace those student fees that were initiated a decade ago. You'll also see the incorporation of Senate Bill 397, which reconstitutes the existing HOPE GED program to a modern high school equivalency exam grant that pays for taking those equivalency exams and removes yet another obstacle for that completion and that accomplishment. You'll also see the gap funding that Chairman Martin has worked so hard on in House Bill 1435 for the completion grants for those folks just right at the end of their college careers but needing a little help to get over the hump. And then finally, something new that was an idea of my Senate colleague, Chairman Tillery, is $2.5 million in the Board of Regents to allow for our rising high school seniors in our foster care system to actually visit college campuses and experience that college sensation that they might not get any other way. Third is our salary increases. You'll see that through just about every line in this budget, but you'll also see in each of those lines as well the first COLA for our state retirees in 14 years. But giving a $5,000 cost of living adjustment to our state employees for a cost of roughly $612 million, lifting our entire workforce as they continue to perform flawlessly for us across this state. You saw targeted raises, or you see targeted raises for our correctional officers, those that are in our state prisons across the state, working to make sure that all of those that are there are safe and that we are on the outside are safe as well. You'll see additions for behavioral health nurses and aides throughout DBHDD. But the two things I want to draw your attention to have been two things that are House priorities and have been House priorities. And that's item number 4, which deals with law enforcement and behavioral health. You'll see throughout the document additions in GBI and other law enforcement agencies as it adds to their staffing capabilities, not only for human trafficking, but for gang-related work, but also in behavioral health. As the governor today signed House Bill 1013, you'll see throughout this document those things, those corresponding budget entries that are required to fund that much-needed upgrade in our system here in the state of Georgia. With the COLA for employees in DBHDD and the other investments made in that program area, you'll see in this budget added over $180 million. $180 million to help folks that are having difficulties here in our state and those that will be served and helped by House Bill 1013. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been on your desk now for several hours. I've fielded many questions. And on your desk also you'll find the budget highlights that the House Budget and Research Office puts together each year. You'll also find under Chair Lady Dempsey's card an outline of the House Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities package, as well as under Chairman Hitchens' card, you'll also see the House Law Enforcement package spelled out on your desk in the spreadsheet as well. Mr. Speaker, I have answered many questions at my desk this evening and this afternoon, and I don't know that there's anything left to be asked based on the questions that have been asked. So at that point, unless you would wish for me to, I will not take any questions. And for one final time, Mr. Speaker, I yield this well.
Chairman England has yielded the well for the final time. On the adoption of the Conference Committee report on House Bill 911, all those in favor of the adoption of the Conference Committee report will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the adoption of the Conference Committee report on House Bill 911, the ayes are 160, the nays are 5. State of Georgia has a budget for fiscal year 23. All right, I want to recognize a couple of 3 groups real quick. Angela Holland over in the ante room. Is she over there? We owe a great debt of gratitude to those who protect us while we're working here. Let's give a big shout out to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Capitol Police. And that includes the Georgia State Patrol. We got the IT department and staff here under Director Brian Hurst. From the Human Resources Office, Director Donald Cronin and Allie Martin, the intern coordinator. And while they're here, the House Budget and Research Office and staff under Director Martha Wigden, Deputy Director Christine Murdoch. I'm told that the House Media Services, which does so much good work, is still working and can't leave the equipment. But we have Betsy, the manager, up here, and the House Messenger. And that includes Justin, Camille, Franklin, Michael, Madeline, Kelsey, August, and Alex. What about Corey Mulkey? Is he around back there somewhere? Corey Mulkey, our post office director. All right, we'll come back to some more here momentarily. Clerk will read the caption to SR 504. Rick.
Senate Resolution 504 by Senator Mullis, 53rd, Hatch to the 50th, Anderson the 24th, and others, a resolution recognizing the significant role that Native American tribes have played in Georgia in dedicating a tree on the state capitol grounds in their honor.
Chair recognizes Chairman Jaspers to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'm honored to bring before you Senate Resolution 504. This recognizes the significant role Native American tribes have played in Georgia. There are 3 recognized tribes in Georgia: the Lower Muskogee Creek Tribe, the Cherokee of Georgia, and the Georgia Tribe of the Eastern Cherokee. Native American Day here at the Capitol will be November 17, 2022. We had a great celebration this year while we were here during redistricting. It was a lovely ceremony and was well attended. What this resolution does is direct and authorize the planting of a peace tree on the Capitol grounds. The tree that is known as the peace tree is the Georgia red cedar, a lovely evergreen fragrant plant. I hope they'll join me in getting this peace tree planted here on the Capitol grounds this year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of Senate Resolution 504. The ayes are 164, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes Representative Gullett for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we agree to the Senate substitute for House Bill 974.
Representative Gullett has moved that we agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 974. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 974 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Gullett of the 8th, Scoggins of the 14th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2, Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia and Territory relating to recordation and registration of deeds and other instruments so as to require electronic filing.
Recognizes Representative Gullett to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is related to e-files of Superior Court clerks of e-filing residential documents. The Senate added back the ability to mail in these filings. So today, this would allow every clerk to receive it electronically through e-file, mail, or in person. So this just makes every clerk receive an e-file, have the ability to receive an e-file. Happy to answer any questions.
You do not have any questions.
Thank you.
On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 974, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 165, the nays are 0. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 974. Chair recognizes Representative Douglas for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I move that House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1283.
Representative Douglas has moved that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1283. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1283 by Representative Douglas, the 78th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 15 of Article 6 of Chapter 2, entitled 20, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to miscellaneous provisions under the Quality Basic Education Act, so as to provide for recess for students in kindergarten grades 1 through 5.
Chair recognizes Representative Douglas to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This time we had communications with the governor's office that we hadn't had the first couple times. And the only change that we negotiated is that lines 27 to 29 be eliminated, but we shall have recess. I yield the will and ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1283, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the gentleman's motion. The ayes are 159, the nays are 6. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1283. The chair recognizes the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt the conference committee report on House Bill 1437.
Chairman Blackman has moved that the House adopt the Committee of Conference report on House Bill 1437. The clerk will read the conference committee report.
The committees on conference on House Bill 1437 recommend that both the Senate and the House of Representatives recede from their positions, and that the attached committees of conference substitute to House Bill 1437 be adopted. Respectfully submitted for the Senate, Dugan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Huffstetler of the 52nd. For the House, Blackman of the 146th, Williamson of the 115th, Martin of the 49th.
Chair recognizes Chairman Blackman to explain the Committee of Conference report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hours late, I'll try to move through this quickly, but we came to an agreement with the Senate. Going over a couple of changes as the House passed version is that this bill, again, rolls the deductions into a higher standard exemption, personal exemption of $12,000 for single, $18,500 to begin with, and graduated up to a $24,000 plus the $3,000 for dependents. We move the rate down to a flat 5.49% and graduate that down to 4.99% over time. We are currently one of 3 states that allows the double deduction on state income tax, so we remove that from itemizers, but itemizers stay whole. We see savings across the board. In fact, we haven't been able to find anybody that pays any more at all. Everybody either pays 0 or less under this plan. It makes us more competitive in a very competitive region with regards to our workforce. It's simple, fair, and it allows hardworking Georgians to keep more of their hard-earned money. Once again, this bill allows $1 billion back in the pockets of hardworking Georgians. And I certainly want to thank so many people, the Senate, especially Bruce and Chuck, Representative Williamson and Representative Martin, for their hard work. And Mr. Speaker, I truly want to thank you for your leadership with regards to cutting taxes for hardworking Georgians. And I even want to thank, as lousy as he was to me the other day, my roommate, Chairman Hogan, for doing virtually nothing at all. With that, Mr. Speaker, I think I'll yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. On the adoption of the Conference Committee report on House Bill 1437, all those in favor of the adoption of the Conference Committee report will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does the Minority Caucus Whip, Representative Wilkerson, rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that many of my caucus colleagues voted no on this bill, but once the bill was improved, that many of us are voting yes to give Georgians back hard-earned money?
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive, baby. Representative Al Williams said that's because he talked to him. What purpose does Representative Bentley rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that if the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee was still in the well, I would have asked him, how would this bill impact the funeral home industry?
Well, if you'd have read it, you would have noticed he put in an exemption in there for funeral expenses. So, never mind. What purpose does Representative Williamson rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hesitate to ask parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Even though he was kind of mean to Chairman Hogan, is it not true that Chairman Blackman worked tirelessly without sleep over the last 48 hours trying to bring this much improved measure to the citizens of Georgia? Is that not true?
I would strongly concur with that. And because of him, the taxpayers of Georgia will be paying less money on their taxes. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the gentleman's motion to adopt the Conference Committee report. The ayes are 167, the nays are 2. This House has adopted the Conference Committee report on House Bill 1437. Chair recognizes Chairman Carson for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I move this House agree to the Conference Committee report on House Bill 517.
Chairman Carson moves that the House adopt the Committee of Conference report on House Bill 517. The clerk will read the Conference Committee report.
The committees of conference on House Bill 517 recommend that both the Senate and the House of Representatives recede from their positions and that the attached committees of conference substitute to House Bill 517 be adopted. Respectfully submitted, Payne of the 54th, Kennedy of the 18th, Hofstetler of the 52nd, Carson of the 46th, Dubnik of the 29th, Irwin of the 28th.
Chair recognizes Chairman Carson to explain the Committee of Conference report
Thank you,
for House Bill 517.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The hour is late, folks. This is House Bill 517. It concerns the Qualified Education Expense Program. This bill increases transparency and disclosure as per a number of the recommendations from the January 21 audit. It increases the overall cap to $120 million and stays flat. No increases beyond that. It allows usage of the credits for some of the credits against insurance premium tax. With that, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for your support for this issue. I want to thank Chairman Matt Dubnik and Representative Irwin with their insight and their hard work on this. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the body's favorable consideration. And I yield the will.
On the adoption of the Conference Committee report on House Bill 517, all those in favor of the adoption of the report will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Park rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that the Georgia Association of Education opposes this bill?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Is it not? Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Is it not true that the Georgia Association of Education opposes this bill?
I haven't looked at their position in a long time, Representative, so I can't tell you. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the adoption of the Committee of Conference report on 517. The ayes are 98, the nays are 68. This House has adopted the Committee of Conference report on House Bill 517. Is Bill new? Chair recognizes Chairman Todd Jones for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute of House Bill 389.
Chairman Jones has moved that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 389. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 389 by Representative Jones, the 25th, Burchetta, the 176th, Howley, the 111th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to employment security so as to change the definition of employment to include services performed by an individual for wages.
Chair recognizes Chairman Jones to explain the Senate substitute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I know the hour is late. We work with the Senate to make one major change between lines 47 and line 64. We put a carve out for the music industry. If there aren't any questions, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to yield the well.
You have no questions? On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 389. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 155, the nays are 12. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 389. Chair recognizes Chairman Perkle for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We should agree to the Senate substitute to HB 1044. HB 1044.
Chairman Perkle moves that this House agree to the Senate amendment to House Bill 1044. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1044 by Representative Perkle of the 155th, Watson of the 172nd, England, the 116th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 62, Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to development authorities so as to provide for the creation of regional development authorities.
Chair recognizes Chairman Perkle to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 1044 provided the incentive for the development of regional development authorities using the quality jobs tax credit of the lowest tier. Passed this House 165 to 0, if you're wondering how you voted. The Senate added language that provided clarity for companies that are not responsible for charging franchise fees for satellite streaming services. Passed the Senate unanimously, was fully vetted in the House, and came out of the committee with unanimous support. It's a good bill. Thank you for your support on this.
On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate amendment to House Bill 1044. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 156, the nays are 9. This House has agreed to the Senate amendment to House Bill 1044. Chair recognizes Representative Gravely for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute as amended by the House to HB 275.
Representative Gravely moves that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 275 as amended by the House. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 275 by Representative McDonald of the 26th, Hatchett of the 150th, Powell of the 32nd, and others being entitled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 25, of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to firefighter standards and training and to emergency medical services personnel.
Chair recognizes Representative Gravely to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the bill that we voted 99% the other day on those that donate organs to other individuals so that they can continue living. The bill is known as Giving the Gift of Life Act. The only change that we have done to this bill is that we have taken the $10,000 tax deduction for those individuals and we've moved it to $25,000. So that they can have this tax deduction for expenses that it took, the time off from work, anything that's involved with donating this organ to this other individual so that they can continue living. That's the only change, the tax deduction from $10,000 to $25,000. The House amended it that way. Mr. Speaker, I'll yield for questions.
Is there any, you have no questions. Is there any objection to the adoption of the House amendment? The chair hears none, and the House amendment is adopted. On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 275 as amended by this House, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 275. The nays are 1. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 275 as amended by this House. Chair recognizes Representative Wade for a motion.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to make a motion to agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1084 as amended by the House.
Representative Wade has moved that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1084 as amended by the House. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1084 by Representative Wade of the 9th, Jones of the 47th, Dubnik of the 29th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to education so as to prevent the use of and reliance upon curricular training programs which act upon, promote, or encourage certain concepts.
Chair recognizes Representative Wade to explain his motion.
Thank you, Speaker. This House amendment to Senate substitute House Bill 1084 is to ensure that in Georgia under Title 20 that this bill will protect K-12 students and provide a safe and fair environment for learning and athletics. You'll note that we have House Bill 1084 is passed in the House and Senate, and then we are adding in the Oversight Committee for the Georgia High School Association with appointments by the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Speaker, Georgia School Board Association, Georgia School Boards, Georgia School Superintendent, as well as statewide associations of high school athletics. That's the amendment, and I yield the well. Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the adoption of the House amendment? There is objection. Does the gentleman move? Does the gentleman move? Gentleman moves. On the gentleman's motion that the House adopt the House amendment, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Have all members voted? We're only adopting the House amendment. We'll come back to take parliamentary inquiries on the main question. If all members have voted, the clerk will lock the machines. On the adoption of the House amendment, the ayes are 99, the nays are 69. This House has adopted the House amendment. Now, on the gentleman's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1084 as amended by this House, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Get where I can see. What purpose does Representative Wilson rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that we should be clear about what we're voting on in this bill? That the bill sponsor failed to mention that this bill now adds the transgender sports ban. It's starting at line 70, and that passing this bill would be inconsistent with the theme of what we have adopted in the House this year, and that is of promoting mental health for Georgians, that this bill targets the most vulnerable Georgians, transgender youth, that it sets us up not just to be on the wrong side of history and morality, but also on the wrong end of litigation.
Well, certainly, I respect the gentleman's view on that. I think that is something that's open to different viewpoints. What purpose does Representative Mitchell rise?
It's not working. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that members of this body value the skills and camaraderie that come from sports and value their children participating? And is it not further true that the members of this body who are parents understand that one of the primary things they want for their own children is to be able to be fulfilled in their K through 12 education and come out the other end alive? And is it not further true that parents of trans children carry an extra burden because they know the risks for their own children for this simple ask are higher than for the rest of our community? And therefore doing something like this, which takes extra feeling of belonging away from children who are at higher risk, is something that would, at a minimum, deserve a floor debate so that the children of Georgia who will be removed from being able to play sports with their peers understand that some of us are out here fighting for them and valuing them, and that we want them alive and included more than anything. Is that not true?
I respect the lady's position on that. What purpose does Representative Cannon rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that it is a shame that this bill only targets transition from male to female and is inconsistent with the GOP's obsession with children who are going through medical transitions and deserve access to sports? Is it not true that I am ashamed of this House?
Okay, we're going to do one more and then that's it. What purpose does Representative Stacey Evans rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that if I heard it once, if I heard it twice, if I heard it 5 times, if I heard it 10 times, that parents know what is best for their kids in this house and that they should be able to make the choice of how they want their children to participate in school and what they want them to do in school, and that this bill, this amendment, flies directly in the face of that statement that we have heard time and time again? Isn't that true?
I appreciate the passion around the issue, but this is not a rally, as I've said earlier. Okay. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 98, the nays are 71. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1084 as amended by the House. Representative Cannon, are you wanting to rise?
I want to make a motion
What's your motion?
to reconsider this bill for every member to know it's not too late to take a walk.
The lady has moved for reconsideration of the bill. All those in favor of the motion will vote aye. Those opposed to reconsideration will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the lady's motion for reconsideration, the ayes are 70, the nays are 99. The motion has failed. Chair recognizes Chairman Stevens for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 469.
Chairman Stevens has moved that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 469. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 469 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, Newton, the 123rd, and Buckner, the 137th, be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 and Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to the imposition rate and computation exemptions from state income taxes.
Chair recognizes Chairman Stevens to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate came back with on a historic tax credit bill that is expiring this year. They put a 2-year sunset extension onto residential properties, 5 years for commercial properties with a $30 million cap. As you might recall from the Georgia Tech study, this gives the taxpayer a 3-to-1 return. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask for your favorable consideration if there are no questions.
On the gentleman's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 469. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Chairman Carson rise?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Rule 133, I ask to be excused from the vote.
Gentleman has that right, and the journal will so reflect. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 155, the nays are 11, and this House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 469. All right, we have a few more groups that we need to say thank you to. First of all, the greatest office of the clerk in the United States, led by Clerk of the House Bill Riley, Assistant Clerk Crystal Roush, Scotty Long, Carrie Vick, Ryan Keene, and all of the members of the clerk's office. the people who always make us happy when we get here in the morning, the doorkeepers. Pat, Hanote, and all the doorkeepers back there. Always smile and give me a hug. Except Terry. I don't want a hug from Terry. Our house photographers, Ben Massey and Kate Lamb. Our house administrative assistants, our temporary session staff, and our house interns. Give them all a big hand. And if you'll indulge me to thank a great group of people that I know I got on their nerves a lot of times this year, the Speaker's office staff. Beginning with the two best interns we have ever had, Ty Crump and Tanya Zamora. Our session staff, Kim Aiken. Our session staff, Kim Aiken. And I know some guys that get really tired of me, but they take good care of me, and that's the troopers. Trooper David James. He's probably got a final on the North Carolina-Kansas game somewhere over there. Trooper Gerald Hanna, and our designated hitter, Trooper Chris Choi. The office staff, Caleb McMicken, communications. Kathy Little, executive assistant. Michelle Spearman, executive assistant. And a lady on her rookie season who did an amazing job as Director of Constituent Services, Deidre Powell. My Chief of Staff, Spiro Amburn. And one of the most outstanding members we have and most valuable, and he was not with us for the last 2 or 3 weeks because he was where he needed to be. Keith Williams. And helping Keith, who was always in touch with us every day, still is, watching us now, I'm sure, questioning me for some of my decisions tonight, but because of his not being able to be here, we had to pull in 2 people to do double duty. And I want to thank Leo Chansey from the Rules Committee office. And a young lady who made a return to the Capitol after many years being away, and I sure was glad to see her, Haley Galau. And then we have our externs. Where are they? Oh, over here. They're going to be great lawyers very soon. Thank all of you. Thank all of our staff here that make it work for us throughout the session. Chair recognizes Chairman Belton for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House agree the Senate substitute to House Bill 972.
Chairman Belton has moved that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 972. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 972 by Representative Belton, the 112th Gamble, the 15th, Powell, the 32nd, and others being entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10A, Title 43, the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to licensing provisions regarding professional counselors, social workers, and marriage and family therapists.
Chair recognizes Chairman Belton to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the licensed counselor bill. We passed this bill in conjunction with the military compact bill for licensed counselors. It adds 1,700 counselors to our Georgia almost immediately. The Senate added a little bit of inclusivity as well as the governor's office, and I yield the well.
On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 972, all those in favor will vote aye, those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines.
You got Lauren McDonald.
Lauren McDonald, then the conference committee report.
Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 156, the nays are 0. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 972. Chair recognizes Representative McDonald for a motion.
I move that this House agree to the Senate substitute of House Bill 1216.
Representative McDonald moves that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1216. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1216 by Representative McDonald, the 26th Collins, the 68th Powell, the 32nd, and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 15 of Chapter 6 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to serious traffic offenses so as to provide for enhanced penalties for violations of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer.
On the gentleman, Chair recognizes Representative McDonald to explain the Senate substitute to House Bill 1216.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, House Bill 1216.
Just a minute, gentlemen, will suspend. Does anybody's watch say midnight? Besides Representative West Cantrell? It's not midnight. We got a little bit more to do. So I want everybody to pay attention to the members in the well, and let's keep the noise to a minimum. Chair recognizes Representative McDonald.
Ladies and gentlemen, House Bill 1216 with some language added in Senate Judiciary, and then once it got on the Senate floor, they struck the language. So the bill is back to the original version as it left this House. This is part of Governor Kemp's Public Safety Initiative, Fleeing and Eluding. I yield the well.
On the gentleman's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1216, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the gentleman's motion. The ayes are 96, the nays are 67. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1216. Chair recognizes Representative Gullett for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we adopt the conference report for Senate Bill 218, number 2.
Representative Gullett moves that the House adopt the Committee of Conference report on Senate Bill 218. Clerk will read the conference committee report.
The committees of conference on Senate Bill 218 recommend that both the Senate and the House of Representatives recede from their positions, that the attached committees of the conference substitute to Senate Bill 218 be adopted. For the Senate, Robertson the 29th, Tillery the 19th, Walker the 20th. For the House of Representatives, Ifstration the 104th, Gaines the 117th, Gullett the 19th.
On the adoption of the conference committee report on Senate Bill 218. All those in favor of the adoption of the conference committee report will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Chair recognizes Chairman Martin for a motion. Sorry. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the adoption of the Committee of Conference report on Senate Bill 218. The ayes are 98, the nays are 62. And this House has adopted the Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 218. Now, Chair recognizes Chairman Martin for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1435.
Chairman Martin moves that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1435. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1435 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Jones of the 47th, McDonald of the 26th, to be entitled an act to amend subpart 2A, part 3 of Article 7 of Chapter 3, entitled 20 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to the needs-based financial aid program so as to include eligibility for students with a financial aid gap.
Chair recognizes Chairman Martin to explain his motion.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the gap funding measure that we passed with overwhelming support. The Senate just added additional reporting language in the last section of the bill, 20-3-365. It didn't change anything about the program, just provides reporting. I ask the House's favorable consideration, and we can get this gap funding to our students. With that, I yield the well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On the gentleman's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1435, all those in favor will vote aye, those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Oh. Okay. We'll come up with a solution. Hang on up there. Okay. House will come to order. We're in the middle of a vote. So here's what we're going to do to our members up in the gallery. The clerk will call your name and you will, well, now I'm told the tablets are back on. Is that true? Okay. Then we will vote. Have all members now voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 154, the nays are 4. And this House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1435. Chair recognizes Chairman Dempsey for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House accept the motion, y'all know we're all tired, This is the I gotta get out.
Chairman Dempsey moves that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1355. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1355 by Representative Dempsey, the 13th and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 41 of Title 31 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia, Ontario, related to lead poisoning prevention.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dempsey to explain her motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very simple change. There is one tiny change, and they actually took it back to our original language, so I ask that you support this measure to prevent lead poisoning.
On the lady's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1355, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Chair recognizes. I'm sorry. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the gentleman's motion. The ayes are 153, the nays are 5. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1355. Chair recognizes Representative Roberts for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1405.
Representative Roberts has moved that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1405. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1405 by Representative Roberts, the 52nd and others, be entitled an act to amend Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia, Ontario, relating to local government so as to revise the zoning procedures law.
Chair recognizes Representative Roberts to explain her motion.
Okay, real quick. Great amendments over in the Senate. One was initiated by me so that I didn't conflict with Representative Leverett's HB 916. We cleared that up, so that was great. And then we've also added Chuck Martin's HB 1406, which simply provides more transparency when county and city governments make text amendments that change from single family to multifamily. I would ask for your favorable consideration, please. Thank you so much.
On the lady's motion that the House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1405, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Tabled what? On the lady's motion, has all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the lady's motion that this House agree to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1405, the ayes are 130, the nays are 25, and this House has agreed. Chair recognizes Chairman Gaines for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House agree to the Senate amendment to House Bill 1516.
Chairman Gaines moves that the House agree to the Senate amendment to House Bill 1516. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 1516 by Representative Gaines, the 117th and others, be entitled an act to amend Part 10 of Article 7, Chapter 3, entitled 12, of the official code of Georgia and Taylor relating to Georgia Music Hall of Fame Authority so as to provide for definition.
Chair recognizes Chairman Gaines to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate simply changed some appointments to the board in all in agreement, unanimous support. And Mr. Speaker, I yield the well and ask for the body's favorable consideration.
On the gentleman's motion, all those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 157, the nays are 0. This House has agreed to the Senate substitute to House Bill 1516. The chair recognizes the majority leader of the House for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I make a motion that this House now adjourn sine die.
The majority leader has moved, and the chair hereby declares the 2022 session of the Georgia House adjourned sine die.